Chelsea 2, Burnley 0. A hard-fought win at Turf Moor, and one that is inevitably going to spark more talks of a title challenge. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC. And that was a frustrating game, man. It was obviously really happy we came out with the win. It was always going to be frustrating, though, wasn't it? International break, 12:30 kickoff. Do you know what I mean? Just the collection of things that led into this game. Obviously, we've had lots of injuries, players. You know, there were some players rested and stuff today as well. So the squad was reasonably heavily rotated in some areas. So, you know, it was never just going to be come back and hit the ground running, but ultimately we got the job done. But guys, before we properly get into it, if you're enjoying the content and would like to see more, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so like I said, man, we've had injuries and players in and out of international duty and, you know, all of that stuff. So the lineup was a little bit tinkered with, but it kind of makes sense. I got it wrong. I got my predicted lineup wrong on the Blue Lounge. We all got it wrong as well. And ultimately there was, you know, just some unexpected inclusions, but ultimately, like I said, they do make sense. So obviously Robert Sanchez started in goal. With the stuff going on with Philip Jorgensen, I probably don't expect to ever see him in a Chelsea shirt again. Right back, Reece James. Centre back pairing of Trevor Chalobah and Tosin Adarabioyo makes his way back into the squad. Marco Correa on the left. Midfield pivot of Enzo Fernandez and Andre Santos. Boy, have we got to talk about Santos today. An attacking midfield of Jamie Gittens on the left. João Pedro in the centre of attack. Pedro Neto on the right. And Liam Delap got the start up top. So, out of the gate, man, we looked rusty. Burnley were all over us for the first 20 minutes, man. It was madness, absolute madness. They just looked really, really, really good, and we looked like we turned up half asleep, half cocked, like we just weren't ready for it, man. And you know, I think there was definitely something in it as well. With maybe Maresca was planning for a back five from Burnley, and to be fair, most of Burnley's big games they've played this season, they have played a back five. I did a match preview with a Burnley fan. Go and check that out if you haven't already, because outside of the match preview stuff, it was a really good chat. But he also predicted that Burnley would have gone with a back five. So I think that was kind of reasonable, but we were set up for a back five, and that's absolutely not what happened. They went with a 4-3-3 or a 4-2-3-1, and they came at us, man. I was expecting the stinkiest, lowest of low blocks, and that's absolutely not what happened. They came to play, so absolutely got to give it to Scott Parker and Burnley. They didn't turn up looking to pull a Palace and put 10 men behind the ball for the entire game and frustrate us. They didn't have a low block. It was like a mid block, basically. They really had a really, really compact midfield, and they just kept getting balls out on the right to Liam Chowner. Mate, what a player. That guy's really, really good, man. And obviously, ex-Chelsea player Leslie Ugochukwu was in their starting lineup as well, and he looked really good too. It looked tough for the first 20-25 minutes, man. Honestly, it didn't look. The thing with Burnley is kind of the thing that Burnley have normally got is they can be resolute and they can play well, but they lack that final ball, the decision making at the end, and you know, the quality to get the goals. That is essentially kind of what happened today from my perspective of Burnley. But like I say, not for lack of trying. Do you know what I mean? They had they created some really good nearly opportunities, and like I say, Liam Chowner, absolutely unbelievable. He was wicked in that first half, man. But after about 25 minutes, the game started to settle a little bit. And then we started to find our rhythm, and we hadn't conceded in that time, which was really, really, really good, because that's what can happen to us sometimes, isn't it? We can concede a goal in the first 20-25 minutes of the game because we're half cocked and we're not ready, and the defence is a bit, or Robert Sanchez does something crazy, but that didn't happen. We kept our cool, we kept our feet dug into the ground, and we didn't concede, and then eventually we started finding some rhythm. The deadlock was broken at 37 minutes with a excellently worked team goal. We were really struggling to play through them, so what we ended up doing was Tosin Adarabioyo, lovely long ball out from defence over to the top left where Marco Correa was waiting for it. He picked it up. He put a pass through the middle for Jamie Gittens, who put a lovely long cross over the top, like a looping cross over the top, that landed on the head of Pedro Neto, who headed it away for his fourth goal of the season. People are scoring, man. Look, we've got a couple guys with 4 goals now. It's all good. It's all good. So that obviously put us 1-0 up at 37 minutes. That was really good. Burnley kind of struggled to get back into it after that as well. And it was the end of near enough the end of the half. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, it was a little bit cagey. up until then, and then the second half. So something really interesting happened in the second half. Reece James was substituted for Badiashile, and initially I was like, oh no, what's wrong with Reece James? But I don't think anything was wrong with Reece James, because he was seen looking pretty happy-go-lucky, and it seemed like it was a tactical substitution, and I'm not going to lie to you, I think it worked. Obviously, like I said, I think Maresca had planned for a back five from Burnley, and that's not what happened. So put in Badiashile in that defence allowed Marc Cucurella to spend more time going forward and putting more pressure on them and trying to find our way through that stodgy midfield that they'd kind of created for us. And ultimately, Badiashile played pretty well. The second half, not a huge amount to talk about in the second half other than the goal, but in general, we just looked a lot more comfortable. I think it was probably a mix of Enzo Maresca making that tactical sub that did change kind of the makeup of our game a little bit, and also it just felt a bit like Burnley got quite deflated by conceding the goal, because they had played reasonably well up until that point, and they were probably hoping on just being able to nick a goal because they were looking like it was possible. Do you know what I mean? Massive game for Burnley as well. Like, obviously they're quite low in the Premier League. They haven't picked up a huge amount of points this season. Even a point from us would have been massive. Do you know what I mean? But ultimately didn't manage to happen. They did hold us almost to get, like, it was 1-0 until the 88th minute, and this is where we talk about some of the subs. So other than Badiashile came on at half time, also Malagusto was brought on and Liam Delap was taken off. João Pedro went up top, and then later on João Pedro came off and was replaced by Mark Guiu, who had a fantastic game. I say a fantastic game, like fantastic 15 minutes. We love that absolute energised thing that he's got. He's just got buckets and buckets of energy. He was pressing, he was running, and what actually ended up happening was he ended up getting the ball, tearing it down the right, popping in a nice little cross for Enzo Fernandez, who crashed late in the box and made it 2-0. It was a good game, man. It was a good game. And there's some really, there's some good narrative. Yeah, I was really happy about the Mark Guiu thing. Pedro Neto, I'm always really happy to see score. I think he has a lot of detractors, Pedro Neto. And me, personally, I am like super pro Pedro Neto, man. I think Pedro Neto is great. That was an important goal that he scored at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? It was technically the winning goal. And without the likes of Esteval and Cole Palmer, he showed that he can turn up in a difficult game at Turf Moor against difficult opposition and do the business, man, when he had to. And getting headers, he's a short guy as well. He's not a big dude, do you know what I mean? So for him to get his head on the end of that was absolutely awesome. And yeah, 2-0, man, it feels really good. So we'll get into a little bit into player performances. I'm not going to go through the whole team, just a couple of particular ups and downs from a few players that I think are worth talking about. So Sanchez in goal, mostly good, but he did have one bozo moment. At the end of the day, like, I'll take this kind of bozo moment over the ones that nearly concede us goals, but he had the ball, it was a goal kick, and he just kicked it straight in Enzo Fernandez's face, well, the side of his head, and Enzo Fernandez just went like straight down to the floor. I was like, oh man, that's about awareness, isn't it, at the end of the day? Like, and that in itself is a problem. It's not necessarily the fact that the bozo moment led to something bad, but it's like, bro, your vice captain's literally stood there and you kicked the ball straight into his face. So apart from that, Rob Sanchez had a good game, confident with collection of the ball. Do you know what I mean? When ball's coming over the top and stuff, he did pretty well. Burnley didn't really have a huge. I think they only had like literally one or two. They had 2 shots on goal in the entire game, and only one of them had any real chance, like it looked like going in. But apart from that, Sanchez pretty good. Marc Cucurella was fantastic today, and I am finding myself embroiled recently in this conversation where my feelings towards Marc Cucurella is that he is arguably one of the best left-backs in the world, if not potentially the best left-back in the world, maybe only behind Nuno Mendes from PSG. I've had some heated conversations with some guys about this recently, so I'd love to know what you think. But in this game, Marc Cucurella was absolutely fantastic. Not so much of a left-back, more of a marauding midfielder and really, really, really trying to assist in attack. But it's just amazing to see that he can do that, man. Do you know what I mean? And it's just no sweat for him. Do you know what I mean? It's like, Cucurella, I need you to be a left-back today. Cucurella, I need you to be a left centre-back today. I need you to be a CDM, a CM, a shadow striker, a centre attacker, a left winger. He's just like, yes, boss. Yes, I'll do it. Absolutely love that. And again, had a phenomenal game. Tosin Adarabioyo, I want to talk about a little bit today because he had a very mixed performance for me. So his passing was wicked today, man. Like some of them long balls that were going over the top, like obviously the one that went to Cucurella, which eventually led to the goal from Pedro Neto in the first half. That was all from Tosin Adarabioyo, which was absolutely brilliant. He did such a good job there. But a couple of wobbles, man, a couple of bozo moments defensively from Tosin Adarabioyo today. And one particular moment, and again, it's just about awareness, man. It's like I just talked about with Robert Sanchez. So Sanchez, it was a goal kick, or whatever, do you know what I mean? Like a free kick, goal kick, whatever you want to call it, from inside the box. Robert Sanchez passed the ball to Tosin Adarabioyo, and Tosin Adarabioyo put his hands on the ball and as if to be like, oh, you're passing it to me. But it really looked like in the replay that Robert Sanchez had started play. So we got off really lucky with that one, I think. We got off really lucky. The ref wasn't having any of it. I was like, fair enough. That could have gone either way, I guess. It did actually look like Robert Sanchez had restarted play, and Tosin Adarabioyo basically just stopped the play and put his hands on the ball and restarted it again. Obviously, Burnley fans were calling for handball in the box. Awareness, man, awareness. That's just a huge thing, isn't it? But apart from, like I said, the passing, absolutely phenomenal. He was key to that first goal in particular. And in general, he played okay, but it's just a couple of little bozo moments. Someone we've got to talk about today is Andre Santos. Mate, what a performance from Andre Santos. He was so good. He was literally so good. So, amazingly, Moises Caicedo, this is the first Premier League game in 69 games that he hasn't started. Moises Caicedo has started 68 of the previous 69 Premier League games. That is nuts. That's absolutely mad. That's just crazy. So today, bearing in mind Barcelona's coming up and he played both games for Ecuador in the international break, Maresca opted to use Andre Santos in the defensive six role, and he was brilliant today, man. He was absolutely brilliant. Didn't offer a huge amount going forward, but that just wasn't his job today. Do you know what I mean? He was getting back, tracking back, clutch tackles and blocks. Amazing. Really, really good. Phenomenal stuff from Andre Santos today. And it's, at the start of the season, it's like Andre Santos was a really big attacking force for Strasbourg last season when he was there on loan. So you bring in Andre Santos to the squad and you're naturally going to be like the Enzo Fernandez backup, right? So seeing Fernandez and Santos next to each other is a little bit like, oh dear. But ultimately, he has shown it a few times before, actually. He can play that lone six role really, really, really well. And today was no exception. And not only was it no exception, it shows you that he's a really viable option there. And we don't have to play Caicedo every single time, right? So absolutely loved that. Andre Santos, take a bow. Phenomenal performance from him today. Enzo Fernandez got his goal, which was good, and he's a good character to have on the pitch, but I don't think he had his best game in a Chelsea shirt today. But ultimately, like I say, man, you can't take away the goal, and this is something that was the same with Enzo Fernandez last season. He didn't always contribute to the game in full a huge amount, but you can rely on him to get goals and assists and be, he's sort of growing into that leadership role as well, and especially with Reece James going off at half-time, we absolutely needed that on the pitch. So, fair play, love Enzo Fernandez. Jamie Gittins, interesting one. I had a feeling that Garnacho, because Garnacho didn't play on the international break, so I thought it might be a good idea to get Garnacho some minutes. He's obviously going to start the Barcelona game, I guess, do you know what I mean? And I guess the Arsenal game as well. So I guess if you look at it like that, this was a good opportunity to give Jamie Gittins some minutes, so I'm not mad about it. He had his moment, do you know what I mean? He had his moment, the assist for the goal, absolutely brilliant. Love that, really nice cross over the top from the left to Pedro Neto. We've seen him do stuff like that a few times now. He's doing a bit less of the old step over, I want to be Ronaldo type things, because, just focus on getting good at football and then you can throw the flash stuff in. Didn't have an amazing game apart from that, though, to be honest. He was all right, though. He was all right. It wasn't like, get him off, he's terrible. But at the same time, he struggled to get into the game. But when he did get into the game, he had some good moments. So good for Jamie Gittins, though not a strong enough performance for me to see him get a chance in front of Garnacho against Barcelona. Pedro Neto, brilliant. Absolutely fantastic. Pedro Neto was so good today. I spoke about him a little bit already. There's a lot of detractors of Pedro Neto. He was so good today, man. He was so good. And as one of our more senior players in the squad at the moment, just, he shows why the conversation around Esteval isn't as simple as just play Esteval game after game. Do you know what I mean? Give him 2-3 starts in a row. It's like, yeah, man, but Neto's a great player. Neto's a really, really good player, and Maresca obviously loves him. Do you know what I mean? He's a very good system player. He does what he's told, and in moments where we are without the likes of Cole Palmer and Esteval, when our strikers aren't exactly firing, then Neto is starting to become a reliable option for attacking outlets, right? He scored 4 goals in the Premier League this season already. Brilliant. Love that. Fantastic. Liam Delap, hard with Liam Delap because ultimately it feels like a really long time now because of the international break, but he's only played a little bit of football since he come back off his injury. He looked better today than he did in his last few appearances. No moments where it looks like he was getting a bit overzealous or, banging people in the face with his elbow or anything like that, nothing like that. He did have some really, really good moments where he showed that he could take the ball for it, he'll collect a long ball and hold his back to the defenders and play other people in. His passing is actually deceptively good, and he was even dropping deep a little bit and stuff. And there is something there to say, yeah, okay, Liam Delap looks like he's still cooking. Not quite there yet, though, truth be told. And the Serbs, ever so quickly, Badiashile, decent. I'm actually happy to have Badiashile back in the squad. It was a shame because he played really well against Liverpool before he got injured. Good to have him back. Malagusto had another good game, nearly scored. And I think what we're seeing with Malagusto now is he is maybe the answer to our midfield depth situation, right? You know, like I say, if you look at the fact that we've got so many centre-backs available to us now, and we do generally play with a back three, Marco Correa is normally playing that inverted sort of role anyway. Trevor Chalobah ended up going on to the right, but he wasn't playing as a right-back. He was playing as the right centre-back of a three, which kind of suits him. And that gives the license for someone like Malagusto to go not even just like invert into midfield, but just to play in midfield. So I do think we're probably going to see a lot more of Malagusto in midfield, especially if we don't get another midfielder in the January transfer window, which not sure what's going to happen about that yet. But if we don't, I wouldn't feel horrible about the idea of Malagusto doing it. He's definitely looking better in that position recently. And yeah, fair play to him. I'm happy to see it. And then Mark Gue. Yeah, Mark Gue. I love seeing Mark Gue come on the pitch, man. I don't know why it took this long. Maresca did come out and say he wasn't training the way I liked. And then, you know, his attitude's changed and he started getting a few more minutes or whatever, hasn't he? So fair play to the lad. But ultimately, I just loved the energy and the running. And, you know, he did something important today. And he tore down the right wing and got that assist for Enzo Fernandez at the end of the game. So absolutely brilliant job from Mark Gue. And I hope we keep him, man. I really, really hope we keep him. I don't want to send him back to Sunderland in January. Do you know what I mean? There's just no point for me. Like, even if João Pedro and Liam Delap are fit, Mark Gue offers something different, is ready, available, young, lots of energy, and can change stuff at the end of a game. You bring Mark Gue on in the last 15, 20 minutes of a game, that might be his role for the rest of the season. Do you know what I mean? He might not ever get started, but he might be the guy that you can bring on in the last 10, 15, 20 minutes of a game, and he's just got buckets of energy. He can go against tired legs, leggy centre-backs, and potentially, like he did today, make something happen, even if it wasn't scoring the goal himself. So, a hard-fought but ultimately comfortable win, which helps us retain our position in the top four for now. It is crazy, man. There are so few points between, like, you know, top four positions kind of thing. Things are going to start evening out. This is the start of it now. Do you know what I mean? By January, the table's probably going to look a lot more like it's actually going to look, and there's a lot of football coming up. Do you know what I mean? And where we are right now is like one or two results can really change the table quite drastically and quite dramatically. I'm not getting into the title stuff today. I'm going to do that another day. But I'm just happy with the win we got today against Burnley. The other thing to bear in mind about today that was good is things like Moises Caicedo getting a rest for the entire game. There's been so many situations where we haven't started Moises Caicedo, but we've had to bring him on because of an injury or because things weren't going well when we had to bring him on at half-time and stuff. Do you know what I mean? But he literally, after playing 2 games with Ecuador, he managed to get an entire game's worth of rest today, and that means he'll be ready to start in the Barcelona game, which is absolutely fantastic. Interestingly as well, Esteval nearly came on in like the 86th minute, but that's when Enzo Fernandez scored his goal. You saw him speaking to the manager and warming up and stuff, and you were like, oh, Esteval's going to come on. And that was cool because it was like, okay, so Maresca does want another goal. He doesn't just want to shut up shop, and he thinks maybe a couple of minutes for Esteval might be valuable. But ultimately, after we got the goal, that didn't happen. So that told you that it wasn't just about getting Esteval minutes. He was actually thinking about bringing Esteval on because he thought he might be able to use him to get a goal and finish the game a little bit more comfortably. There was 6 minutes of extra time, by the way. So, you know, but I just think that's really cool. That's really cool. So, next up, Barcelona. Oh, man, this is going to be exciting, isn't it? I can't remember the last time. I sort of can't remember exactly the last time we played Barcelona. I do remember that we lost and Lionel Messi scored. No Lionel Messi this time, so hopefully that's not going to happen. But I'll be back very soon with my match preview, my starting lineup, and, you know, we're obviously going to be doing talks about it on the Blue Lounge, and there's lots and lots, and there's going to be so much football. You guys are going to be sick of me real soon because there's going to be so much to talk about, and I absolutely can't wait. Guys, thanks very much for sticking around until the end of the video. If you did, if you enjoyed this and you're chilling and you got a tasty beverage and you fancy listening to some more Stamford Sync, I implore you to check out this video here, which was the collab I did with my good friend Richard, who is a Burnley fan. It is a bit of a match preview, but mostly it is just about Burnley's season so far. So if you're interested in how Scott Parker's Burnley are getting on, check that video out. Nice one, guys. Have a wicked day, and I'll catch up with you very soon. Take it easy. Peace.